Hello, welcome back to Hasannarrates. Tonight's story takes us to a lonely island in Scotland. Three men lived there. They had food, they had supplies, they had each other. And then they simply vanished. No one saw them leave, no bodies were ever found. And more than 100 years later, people still ask the same question: what happened to the keepers of Flannen Lighthouse? It was December 1900. Winter had arrived in Scotland. Far out in the Atlantic Ocean stood a group of rocky islands called the Flannen Isles. The islands were small, treeless, cold, and surrounded by powerful waves. On the largest island stood a lighthouse. Its job was simple: guide ships safely through dangerous waters. Three men worked there: James Tuckett, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur. Their lives followed a routine: clean the lamps, check the equipment, record weather conditions, prepare meals, wait for the next supply ship. It was lonely work, but it paid well. And the men knew what they had signed up for. Every few weeks, a ship arrived bringing food, letters, and a replacement keeper. Normally, the lighthouse could have been shining brightly from miles away. But on the night of December 15, a passing ship noticed something strange. The lighthouse was dark. No light, no signal, nothing. At first, the captain assumed bad weather was blocking his view. But as the ship moved closer, he became uneasy. The lighthouse should have been operating, always, yet the darkness remained. Because of rough seas, nobody could investigate immediately. Days passed. Finally, on December 26th, a supply vessel named Hesperus reached the island. A keeper named Joseph Murray was abroad. He was scheduled to relieve one of the men. As the ship approached the island, Joseph expected to see someone waiting. Usually, one keeper came down to greet visitors, but nobody appeared. No welcome, no wave, no movement. Joseph later said he felt nervous immediately. Something felt wrong. The captain sounded the ship's horn once, twice, three times. Still no answer. Joseph climbed the steep path leading to the lighthouse. The island was silent. Only the sound of wind and crashing waves surrounding him. He reached to the door. It was closed, but unlocked. He stopped outside. The kitchen looked unusual. Two of the three waterproof coats were missing. One coat still hung on a hook. The chair had been knocked over. The clock had stopped. On the table sat untouched food. No sign of struggle, no blood, no message, no people. Joseph searched every room: bedrooms, storage areas, workrooms, nothing. The three keepers had disappeared completely. Joseph ran back to the ship. The captain immediately informed the authorities. Soon, investigators arrived. They searched the island carefully. They found damage near the western landing platform. Ropes had been twisted. Boxes were broken. Railings had been bent. Huge rocks weighing hundreds of pounds have been removed. It looked as though a terrible storm had hit the area. But another mystery appeared. The lighthouse diary contained strange entries. December 12. Strong winds. Thomas Marshall wrote that the storm was the worst he had ever seen. December 13. One keeper supposedly cried. Another prayed. December 15. The final entry read: storm ended, sea calm, God is over all. People found these notes disturbing. Donald MacArthur was known as a tough man. He had fought in arguments, worked in dangerous places. People struggled to believe that he would cry because of bad weather. Even stranger, weather records showed there were no major storms near island on those dates. Had the diary entries been written incorrectly, or were they never written at all? Rumors spread quickly. Some fishermen believed giant seabirds had carried the men away. Others spoke about the sea monsters. Some claimed ghostly ships visited the islands. Stories became more dramatic every year. One legend said tiny fairy like creatures lived among the cliffs and stole humans. But investigators focused on a more practical explanation. Robert Murrayhead, a superintendent responsible for lighthouse, studied the damage. He believed one keeper went outside to secure equipment during rough seas. Perhaps waves were crushing dangerously close to the platform, and keeper may have followed the help. The third man might have broken safety rules and rushed outside as well. Then a massive wave struck without warning, sweeping all three men into the sea. The Atlantic Ocean around the island is incredibly powerful. Even experienced sailors fear it. If three men had fallen into those waters during winter, survival would have been almost impossible. It seemed like the most likely answer, yet not everyone agreed. Why would all three leave the lighthouse? Rules state that one man should always remain inside. Why was one coat left hanging? Did someone leave suddenly without putting it on? And what about strange diary entries? Were they genuine? Or had someone exaggerated details years later? Nobody knows for certain.